Hey guys, Yaza here at freeballedanceclasses.com. Hopefully you guys are having a good day today. I'm going to be answering a bunch of questions actually that a lot of people had about learning the upper body undulation. And so I wanted to kind of group it all together and tell you what I feel like are the most common mistakes that people make making the upper body undulation, which is this one. Okay, so let's break it down. First of all, I have had a video where it was a very long, and I think a lot of people complained about how long it was, but I really wanted to focus on the mechanics of how to do a very good upper body undulation. Despite all that, it seems like a lot of people still having trouble with the upper body undulation. So the basic body mechanics is, first of all, there's two ways you can do it, depending on how fast the music is. Technically, an undulation, an upper body undulation, is a slow move, so meaning it should be done to a slower type music. But sometimes you still have 2 counts in the slow music, and you sometimes you have 4 counts in slow music. So it really would depend on what kind of music and how many counts you got. If you have 4, then slow it down. Go with the chest forward and lift at the same time. Okay? Never use your shoulders. That's the biggest mistake most people use, is try to involve the shoulders. So push the chest forward and up, and then lean back, and then tuck. Chest forward, up, back, tuck. Okay? So that's just briefly the body mechanics. Now let's talk about the most common mistakes. One of the common mistakes is people usually, they just stay straight and then they lift. Okay? It's okay to do that if you want to go fast. But if you want to get the big S-shaped move, you got to push forward first. So don't just stand still and then do a lift. You can do that if you have like quick 2 counts. Ooh, almost like hurt my fingers there, snapping quick. So if you have like just a 2 count, you don't have time to go forward. So you can just go up and tuck. So lift is 1, tuck is 2. Lift is 1, tuck is 2, okay? That's if you have just a 2 count. But if you have enough time, make sure you push forward as you lift. So it's forward and up motion, forward and up. And that exaggerates the move, so it makes it look way bigger than if you just stayed straight, okay? So that's the first mistake. If you feel like you don't see your S really big in your undulation, make sure you push forward and lift instead of just lifting, okay? Another common mistake that I see is people not lifting high enough. You know, they think that they lifted the rib cage, but they're not lifting high enough. The thing is, you gotta stretch the belly muscles before you could tuck them. Because, you know, if something is loose, you can't really just tuck it. You know, it has to be stretched to tuck. Like everything in nature. Stretch and tuck, lift to drop, drop to lift. You know, all these things have to go together. There's a lot of pull and push in belly dance moves. So make sure that if you're trying to do something like that's a pull move, make sure that you're already in a push position, and vice versa, because it's not just going to happen like that, okay? So make sure that before you tuck, that you actually stretch first, and then the tuck will look bigger. I mean, you can tuck even if you're not stretched, but it's never going to be very obvious. So if you want to make your movement look very obvious and big move, make sure that you stretch before you tuck. So you see a lot of times people go forward, but they're really not stretched, so meaning they're not lifting the rib cage. So you got to go forward and lift. Now you're completely stretched. Now you can actually tuck, okay? So that's another mistake. The other thing too is, if you have time and you want to really make it look even bigger, you can push forward and lift, but to make it even bigger, lean back a little bit. Lean back, lean back, lean back. Now you've got even a bigger stretch where you feel like your belly is like a rock, okay? Now what happens is, by just leaning back, you are making the S move look even bigger, okay? So again, if your problem is that you cannot see the movement as big as you want it to be, lean back a little bit with your shoulder, especially if you have a 4 count instead of a 2 count to do your undulation, okay? So again, briefly repeat it. It's a forward and a lift. You're gonna have that stretch. To make it look even bigger, make sure you lean back so you stretch even more, and then you can tuck. You cannot tuck without the stretch. And now tuck, and as you finish that tuck, Here's the other mistake that a lot of people make, is that it doesn't look smooth, like ongoing, especially when you want to repeat it over and over and over. You know, you're going to have that steady motion. And in order to create that repetitive steady motion that's still smooth, make sure that you end your first undulation in a way that's going to help the next undulation look better. So after you tuck, make sure you start pushing forward and up again, and then back, and then tuck, and then immediately after go straight into that push and lift in the front. So immediately after you finish the undulation, you start the next one, and that way you can keep that nice and steady motion. So that's very key. By now, let's talk about the biggest mistake of all that everybody makes when they're learning an upper body undulation: the shoulders. Everybody tries to move the shoulders too much. Okay, maybe not everybody, but the majority of people that say, I have a problem, it doesn't look good, it's not working, it doesn't feel right, whatever. It's usually the shoulders, you know, just move the shoulders too much. There is absolutely nothing that you need to use the shoulders for, okay? If you want to lift your rib cage, you use your abs. If you want to drop your rib cage, you use your abs. So it's all in the rib cage, and you're using your abs to do the movement in the rib cage, but the shoulders have absolutely nothing to do with it, okay? So to help yourself kind of go through that, make sure that you kind of hold your hands like this by your shoulder and feel them in the same spot all the time, okay? It's just a little thing to learn it, but of course this is not a frame by any means. So push the chest forward, and by holding, but kind of like using your hands like almost like a push down on the shoulder, you're kind of making sure that your shoulders never do this, okay? So keep them down, stay at the same level. So from here, it's a push forward, lifting the rib cage, but feel that your shoulders are not moving. So make sure that you're feeling the lift in the rib cage, but without feeling the lift in the shoulders, okay? Now when you go back, same thing. We don't want to go back like this, you know, rolling the shoulders. Go back with by just leaning back. Take the whole body without moving it, any joints in it, and just lean back, okay? So from here, I'm going to lift the rib cage, no lifting the shoulders, and I'm leaning my whole upper body back instead of moving my shoulders. Now relax the shoulders at this point and just tuck. And then go forward again. So there really is no need to move the shoulders at all, but that is a common mistake. You know, most people are like this, you know. And I think a lot is because you're trying to make the move look big and exaggerate, but you don't need to do that. You know, use your core, the lean forward and the lean back to create the bigger movement, not the shoulders. Okay? So these are the common ones that I see, the common mistakes for upper body undulation. Hopefully this is helpful to you guys, but if you still have any questions, make sure you post them on our website or on this YouTube video. I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to check out always the website is freeballedanceclasses.com. Bye!